Hello, and welcome to our Cerenade video. In this video, we will go over configuring settings in the admin portal, which include updating your department, updating your caseworker profile, and adding other user profiles. This video is intended for your initial sign-in to the software and is included in your Site is Ready email. Please keep this email open for reference. Let us begin. You will first log into the caseworker portal. A link to the portal was given to you in the Site is Ready email. Login credentials were also included. Please use those and proceed to log in. You are now in the caseworker portal, an area that allows you to create cases, clients, work on forms, and much more. But before we get into that, let us actually visit our admin portal to configure some settings that will enhance using the caseworker portal. To do so, we will click on the Settings button on the top right and proceed to click on Administrative Tools. Once clicked, you will be brought into your administrator portal. As opposed to the caseworker portal you were just in, the admin portal serves as a settings page that allows you to customize many aspects of the caseworker portal. For this video, we will focus on 3 things to get you started: updating departments that hold address info of your law firm, updating your user profile with personal settings, and lastly, adding other user profiles for those accounts that have more than one user. Let us click on the very first button titled Departments. You will see a department titled Default. This department was created when your site was installed. However, no info is in that department. We will go to the Edit button on the left to update your law firm's information, and a pop-up box will appear. You will first enter the name. You will enter your organization's name, such as the Law Firm of Cerenade. You will enter the street number and the street name. You will notice below it will replicate the information. No changes need to be made here unless it appears wrong. You will then enter the unit type and the unit number. Same as above, you will see how the unit type and number are listed and no changes need to be made here unless it appears wrong. You will then enter the city, the state, the zip code, the province if it applies, the postal code if it applies, the country, the phone number, fax number, the office email, and state ID number if it applies. Once finished, you will click on Save. Your department has now been updated and will auto-populate onto forms asking for that info. If you have more than one location, you can add more departments by clicking on Add Departments. The pop-up box will appear, allowing you to enter the secondary location. Once you enter the info and save this, these 2 departments now become an option to auto-populate onto forms. You would simply select a department at the time of creating a case. Please note, by adding multiple departments and assigning cases to it, it will help organize cases by department, which will come in handy when searching and running reports. Also, you can limit a user's access to a department, limiting what they can and can't view in terms of cases and client info. We will cover that later in this video. Once we've added all our departments, we can now go back to the home page. The next section to modify is your user profile and adding other users. Let us access our user profile by clicking on Users. From here, you will see your user profile. Let us click on the Edit button. You are now inside your user profile. It is now up to you to fill out the areas you see. The benefit of adding info in these areas are these can be auto-populated onto forms where to ask for attorney info. Additionally, by adding an email, you can receive email notifications for reminders anytime someone submits a questionnaire, and much more. If you add your cell phone number, you can receive a text message if you have the option module titled SMS notifications. Please take time adding info where necessary. Also, keep note that you must check the departments that applies to your profile. By checking all departments, this gives you access to view all cases and info, regardless of which department the case has been assigned. Once you've added this info, you will see some default settings you can apply. In the Client section, you can check to have clients automatically assigned to you in their client profile. Automatically check clients can send message in case you have messaging optional module. And lastly, automatically check caseworker receives auto email to receive emails when getting a message from your clients. In the Case section, you can set by default to be automatically assigned to a case, to be assigned regardless of which user creates a case, and also automatically have the Transfer to Forms button checked in the case profile, so that your info always transfers onto the forms on all cases created. Please check the areas that will benefit you or leave blank. By leaving these areas blank, you can apply these settings within the caseworker portal on a case-per-case basis. These are simply default settings that avoids checking these areas in the caseworker portal. The next area is jurisdiction details. Please add info on those areas if they apply to you. This info will auto-populate on the forms when clicking the Transfer to Forms button. The next area is your login details. This area will give you the ability to change your login info as well as set limits as to when you can access your account. By default, it will list your email as your username. You can leave it as is or apply any username you prefer, not necessarily your email. The password provided to you is not listed for security purposes. However, you can update it. Keep in mind that your password can also be updated in the caseworker portal. The next section has by default that you can access the software every day of the week, at all times, and has no expiration. If you're the admin, more than likely you will leave the settings as is. This is intended if you have staff who you do not wish to access on certain days of the week, times outside of business hours, or add an expiration in case you don't want them accessing it forever. Lastly, you will see your access rights. This is giving you the ability to do all tasks. Because you are the main administrator, you will give yourself access to everything. This means access to all cases, clients, able to delete, and so on. Now that we finally updated your profile, let us go to the Save button up top. Once saved, your settings and info will now reflect onto the caseworker portal. Before we end this, what about adding other users? Maybe you signed up with 2 or more users, or maybe you just want the attorney's info saved on a profile, even though they won't be using the software, but to transfer their info onto forms. To add these people, let us go back to the user section and click on Add Caseworker. Just like we saw previously, we will now create a profile for the fellow staff member. You can select their type, adding info where it applies, and make sure to select the departments they are assigned to. As mentioned before, if you assign them to all departments, they can view all cases and clients. If you only assign them to one, then they will only see cases and clients assigned to that specific department. You will check default settings that applies, and lastly, add jurisdiction details. If you are simply creating a profile for a staff member who won't be accessing the caseworker portal, such as an attorney, you can click Save up top and their profile will still be eligible to be linked to a case and have their info transferred to forms. However, if this profile you are creating is for someone who will be using the caseworker portal, meaning you have a subscription for 2 or more users, you will click on Create Account at the bottom. Once clicked, you will now see the login info, the days and times limiting when they can use it, and lastly, the expiration date. Either leave it as is, or you can set limits to their access of the caseworker portal. You will also see the access rights, meaning you can limit what they can and can't do in the caseworker portal. Be sure to select the areas you wish for the caseworker to access. Before we save up top, a couple things to highlight. One thing is the administrative rights in the access rights. By default, only your profile has this allowed, which gives you the ability to come into the admin portal and make changes. If creating a profile for another user, it is not necessary to give them access and should be given to few individuals as they hold tools to modify many settings. Proceed with caution on who to give this access. Also, make sure that the enabled box is checked so that they can access the caseworker portal. Once you've applied their access rights and checked the enabled box, you will click on Save. You have now updated your profile and added fellow caseworkers. Both can now go into the caseworker portal, log in with the credentials you assign, and proceed to work on client profiles, cases, forms, and so forth. Please provide those users with the link to log into the caseworker portal, as well as their login credentials you just created. We are now done modifying these settings in the admin for now. You can click on the settings button on the top right and click on Caseworker module. You will now be brought back to the caseworker portal and can start working on cases. If you ever need to make changes in user profiles or departments, you will follow the steps on this video showing you how. Thank you for watching.